and welcome to Young Turks, India's longest running show on entrepreneurship. I'm Shireen Bhan. This week on the show, we have two big exclusives lined up for you. The first, a look inside the UID Technology Centre in Bangalore and a one-on-one chat with Sujay Jaswa, Vice President of Business Development at Dropbox, one of Silicon Valley's hottest startups. So let's start by taking you on a walkthrough of the Unique Identification Authority of India's Technology Centre. This blast-proof building in Bangalore houses not only the servers that are the repository of all the biometric data being collected, but also houses the state-of-the-art Network Operations Centre, or what insiders call the NOC. Take a look at how the NOC works and hear from former UID technology head Shrikant Nadamuni and NASSCOM President Som Mittal on the massive opportunities available to entrepreneurs to use the Aadhaar platform to build cutting-edge tech startups. Remember, the UID is one of the most ambitious projects undertaken by the Government of India, one of the largest perhaps even in the world as far as biometric technology is concerned, but currently mired in controversy and stuck in courts. But nevertheless, here's a first look at the NOC.
Most of us, that's 640 million Indians at last count, are familiar with this side of the Aadhaar program. We've given our fingerprints and had our irises scanned and then waited patiently, in most cases, for the 12-digit unique identity number and card to arrive. Ever wondered what happens to the data packets that are collected? Well, each of these packets are first encrypted on-site using a 2048-bit encryption and sent off to one of the biggest biometrics database on earth, located in this building in Bangalore. This giant screen inside the Network Operations Centre, or the NOC, then acts a real-time dashboard of what's happening with the million-plus data packets that come into the UID repository every single day.
Where we need 2 million of throughput per day, then our HDFS writes has to be much more than 2 million. It has to be at least 2.2, 2.3 million, I guess.
When your packet came in with all those details, your fingerprint, iris and photo, we would take that and match it against everybody in the database. Today, there's about 500 million people in the database, maybe a little more. We would match your fingerprints with everybody and ensure that you're not there in that entire database, and then only issue you an Aadhaar.
The enrollment number today stands at 640 million. Of these, 520 million Aadhaar numbers have been generated, and there are 50 million data sets that have been billed as rejects. It is the responsibility of this team to manually cross-check these rejects, and this is done by simply tagging data to a reference number without revealing any demographics.
What we have really believed in is to have a partnership model. Rather than depend upon one vendor, one technology, we have ensured that we have a open source software and open source architecture for anything and everything that we have done from one end to another.
Since Aadhaar is an open platform for anybody to build on top of, I think young entrepreneurs can jump in and start building. There's also a portal called developers.uidai.gov.in, I think, where there's a lot of information and there's even open source tools and so on. I think India is going to be the center of the biometric universe because of the scale at which we're working. Not only from a device perspective, but also software to do matching and extraction and all of that good stuff. So I think Aadhaar will spawn an industry of software applications, of device manufacturers, of SIs who put in large systems together, be it for governments or banks or insurance companies and so on.
And NASSCOM is certainly betting big on Aadhaar. On October 29 this year, NASSCOM launched the Aadhaar Diffusion project in collaboration with UID AI to nurture and fund technology startups and independent software vendors to build upon the open source Aadhaar platform.
For example, we all worry about frauds that happen, identity frauds that happen. In private sector, we keep looking at how we should hire. We want to be sure that the person that we are interviewing is the person he or she says that she is. We have security clearances that we go through, airports, for example, right? If I have to just put my thumb, it will tell us he's the person or she's the person that she said. So I think we have a lot of white spaces that are there. So what we are planning to do is to use the platform of Aadhaar and create many, many solutions that will be used not only by the government, because that they are already running various programs, but really citizen-based applications that private sector could use.
Well, we hope this has given all you young techies out there inspiration to start developing applications that can be used on the Aadhaar platform and similar platforms as well. It is now time to catch up with Sujay Jaswa, Vice President of Business Development at Dropbox, being touted as the world's 5th most valuable web startup after Facebook, Twitter, Zynga and Groupon. CNBC TV 18's Kritika Saxena caught up with Sujay in Mumbai to bring us this exclusive. Take a look.
When you look at your marketing strategy in terms of your growth, in terms of your differentiated marketing strategy, what really works or what really has worked for Dropbox over the last, say, 2 years?
See, the amazing thing is it's almost entirely word of mouth. Do you remember there was an earthquake in Haiti maybe 2 or 3 years ago that really devastated the country?
Yeah.
So one of the government agencies, the commander of that agency, sent us an email afterwards saying, we could not have performed our jobs without Dropbox.
Wow.
And his entire team, as a result of that, started using it, and then of course, that's how it spreads. Recently, we've added partnerships. So, we have a great partnership with Samsung, where pretty much all of their phones, Dropbox is front and center. And so it's, those are our two major ways of getting the product out there.
There was a very differentiated product strategy that you guys had with Samsung. Tell us, how does this work when you look at partnerships, offering free GB, etc., with this amount of services? How does this work?
So one of the things that's very unique about the Samsung partnership is that when you buy the phone for the first time and you turn it on, you're walked through a process, right, that says, hey, give us your email account and all of these things. And as part of that process, they say sign up for Dropbox.
Okay.
And the reason is that what they say is that Dropbox saves and stores all of your photos. It's the easiest way to share these photos. It connects your computer to your phone. And so the value proposition for the end user is great. And so for Samsung, making that front and center is great for them as well, because it ends up driving a lot of sales of their phones as well.
What are the other partnerships that you're looking at? There's Dell as well on the list?
Dell came to us maybe 3 months back and said we would love to put this on all of our PCs, our tablets, but even more, we would love to take your business product and sell it.
Okay.
And so they have 10 or 20,000 sales reps all over the world, and we have 80. And so it seemed pretty good to use their channel as a partnership for us.
You have around 200 million users. Tell me what percentage of this comes from India, and how relevant is India in terms of your customer acquisition and expansion strategy?
So our long-stated goal has been to be one of those rare companies with over 1 billion users. But honestly, without India, it's very hard to get to 1 billion users. It's just such an important market. And so, 2 years when I came down here, almost nobody recognized Dropbox. And now this time, I haven't been here for quite long yet, but all of the people I've talked to at this point have said, oh yeah, I love Dropbox, I use it. Asia is now responsible for maybe 20 to 25% of our users.
Of the total 200
of the total user base.
Okay.
And so, that would not have, 2 years ago must have been much smaller than that. And so a few markets like India and Japan have really been driving a lot of that growth.
Any companies or any specific assets that you have looked at in India in terms of acquisition?
So we have never yet acquired a company outside of the United States. And the reason is because of the team integration and the cultural integration. That being said, we're not closed-minded to it. So if there was a product or a team that looked like it would be a really good a complement to Dropbox, we would definitely be open to it.
Right now you do not have a specific India operation. At what point or what customer growth do you want to reach, or what revenue growth would you want to reach in India to be able to say, okay, now I want to specifically set up an office here, localize your content over here?
Localizing content in terms of language, I would be surprised if we don't have that by the end of next year.
Okay.
By the end of 14. In terms of other things like having headcount here and sales offices and maybe user operations or support offices, I would be surprised if in the next couple of years we don't have a presence.
What are the trends that you're seeing as we head into 2014? Are people optimistic, or is there still some amount of caution?
Right now in Silicon Valley, people are extremely optimistic. For the first time, you can reach hundreds of millions of users, having spent $0 in marketing, and generate hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in revenue, all with aggregate capital invested of less than $50 million. I think there are a number of other areas where people are getting quite excited. So you may have seen in the last few days that Google bought a robotics company.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, robotics has become a big area of focus for our friend circle. Another, communications. So, we talked about WhatsApp, but you look at Line and Kakao Talk and all of these products have really, I mean, they're pretty remarkable.
Sujay, here's wishing you and Dropbox the very best of luck. It's time now for a break, but when we return, it's time out for Corporate India. Stay tuned.